Hey, my name is David Ponerski, and I am a member of the Biomedical Engineering Society here at UCSB. And today I am with Michael Sutton, who is an instrument sales specialist at Eppendorf. So right now we're going to
David?
be doing the question and answer session. And I guess here we go. So could you introduce yourself, Mike?
Sure thing. Yep. So as David mentioned, my name is Mike Sutton. I'm the instrument sales specialist for Eppendorf, North America, here in Southern California. What that means is I'm the automation specialist that works directly with a lot of our technology users to automate what they do in the lab and ultimately help improve the quality of their research by taking the human out of the equation. I've been in sales for going on 10 years now. I got my start at Life Technologies back before they were acquired by Thermo. And I've been working with Eppendorf, Illumina, and now back at Eppendorf. So I've worked at quite a few companies here in the biotech sector, but I have always been located here in the Southern California area, and it's been a really exciting geography to sell to.
Before this whole coronavirus thing, what did your average day or work week look like?
Sure, absolutely. Before Corona, before the new normal, I would say my average work week was interacting with customers in person. And I would have, on average, 3 to 5 face-to-face meetings a day. And then I would couple that up with all the follow-up required to kind of keep things going. And, and I would always try to carve at least one day a week as an office day to get caught up. As you can tell now in the new normal with coronavirus, there's quite a few more office days available. So we're all having to adapt in the way we interact with our customers. More importantly, the way we support our existing customers, because we have a lot of folks doing some really exciting research in the COVID area that it can't take some time off. It is that essential work. So it's been interesting adjusting, but definitely staying busy nonetheless.
Yeah, how closely did your first job match your work? And
Sure.
you said you went to Texas A&M.
Yes, absolutely. So I went to Texas A&M. That's where I was in grad school. I was pursuing a career in research, and it was not until the semester before I was bound to graduate with a master's in biotechnology that a buddy of mine in California. Well, let me take a step back. I did my graduate work at Texas A&M in College Station, Texas, just north of Houston. A good friend of mine out here in California was working for Life Technologies and told me about the job opening. Up until then, I had been pursuing a lab career, or a lab position, and a career in the lab, actually pipetting and doing science. It wasn't until then that I thought, hey, I enjoy working with people. I enjoy connecting with folks in a bunch of different areas of research versus maybe specializing and singling in one myself. And it was an exciting opportunity to see other parts of the country. So my fiance and now wife, she and I moved out to California in 2012, and we've been out here ever since. A little different than I thought it would have been working in the lab 10 years ago. But as you kind of were alluding to, I think very much so the opportunities and experiences that I've acquired in that process has led me here, and very much my lab experience was a part of that. But it's interesting to see where you end up at the end of that.
What has been the most challenging part of your job, and how have you overcome it?
The most challenging part of my job, I would have to say, so again, I'm an automation specialist. So I work with end users that are in cutting edge areas of science, and they're trying to automate that science. In my previous role, I was a sequencing specialist for Illumina. Same sort of situation, working with customers at the cutting edge of research, the cutting edge of discovery. And I would say the most challenging part is constantly being in that realm of discovery. You don't really have the rock to stay steady and stay true on. In other careers, you can specialize in something maybe, and it becomes so normal to you that it's innate. or it's something that just comes naturally at that point. Whereas when you're working in technologies where there's constantly questions being asked, it keeps you in a question asking mindset. And that has been the most challenging, but also the most satisfying and rewarding, because it
Yeah.
keeps my brain active and helps me stay with the science now that I'm no longer in the lab, but more so selling to the lab.
Do you have any advice for students on the job hunt?
Absolutely. There's a phrase when I was in grad school, you can't network enough. Networking is key, not only in better understanding what other folks are out there doing, because it opens your lens or widens your lens, but also when you need to ask for help, which is a very real thing in the job hunt, you can make an informed approach to asking for that help. There's been many times in my career where I've networked with folks, and when I needed to raise my hand and ask for help, because of the homework I'd done beforehand, I knew who to ask and how to ask, and because of the relationships I'd established and the example I'd shown, the three had come together, and it made that networking all the more powerful in my own career. The other bit of advice that I would give to anybody is stay flexible. Your career when you start is you have a very rigid path in mind, but true happiness comes from self-discovery, and in my opinion, and I think that when you put yourself on a new path, you're almost open to discover more. So yeah, staying flexible, absolutely.
What do you think the most exciting new trend in your field has been? Because you've been talking about this automation, but how
Sure.
can you really apply this to everything?
Absolutely. So I would say for the epMotion specifically, the platform that we support, it's an open platform, meaning the workflows and the science that we're able to automate is as open as your the questions you're asking. So within mine, I think that some of the more exciting things in the field that we've been exposed to have been things that you hear about in the news, things like microbiome research, studying the bugs in and around your body, or things like 23andMe, using next generation sequencing to analyze certain fragments of the human code and kind of determine who and what you are and how you behave. These are all, I think, really cutting edge things that are going to one day coalesce and tell us a lot about who we are as a human species, and that alone gives anyone the tingles. So to be kind of involved in that from the automation perspective, I think I'm really lucky to have a direct view of the future.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really exciting, yeah.
What things still surprise you about your job?
Ooh, I think what things surprise me about my job is definitely the cyclical nature. So I'm in sales. I have a yearly goal that I'm judged upon, and that goal changes every year. The objectives of the goal change, and the tactics of the goal change. So it's that change that is definitely a good thing and a bad thing, but it keeps things fresh. And at the end of the day, it's a difficulty that keeps you flexible. Like I mentioned earlier, that ability to stay frosty when things get hot.
How much previous experience did you have versus things that you learned on the job?
Sure. Yeah, I think a good deal of when I first got my first job, it was less so experience and more so, like I mentioned earlier, the networking portion. A lot of what I learned being in sales, I learned on the job and through professional sales trainings and professional development programs. What I took per se in my line of work was, my science undergrad and graduate degrees, my 2.5, 3 years of lab experience. And I was able to use that as a way to speak the language of the biotech industry. So for me, the experience that one might think they need for a sales position can be acquired in other ways on the job, but it's bringing that specialty to the table. Like in my instance, I like to believe that it was that understanding of the molecular biology workflow and what's needed for that to be successful, was something that was able to kind of empower me through any gaps in selling that I needed to acquire. Yeah.
What do you think is the most fascinating part of the epMotion technology, dude?
The epMotion technology, I think that the most fascinating part about it is absolutely the flexibility of the system. I can't tell you how many times I've worked with researchers that have a really cool idea and they walk up to the epMotion and they program it on the fly just like that, and they're able to then test it out empirically in the lab right then and there. I think that ability to flex so quickly is something that the epMotion definitely empowers the lab, and it's a really cool ability to just walk up and automate something. And while it's knocking that protocol out, you could be sitting down thinking about the next question you have to answer, and it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah. I know in our lab we do next generation sequencing, and we do all the steps manually, and takes a while.
Absolutely, it does. Yeah, and I always think about that. Many times the folks with the most education and the most training are the ones that are spending the most time pipetting. And with an automated system like the epMotion, you kind of flip those reversals. You put all of the pipetting labor onto a robot that can't make a mistake because it's following a protocol. And then you take all the brain power away from the pipetting, and then you go analyze the data. You go take a look at those sequencing reports, and you start comparing, RNA data over DNA data over methylation profiles, and you start deducing and pulling ideas out that a robot that you can't really think about if you're pipetting, when the robot frees that up for you. So yeah, I hear you loud and clear there.
I guess this question and answer session has come to a close, but I guess do you have anything else that you'd like to say in like 30 seconds?
Sure, absolutely. In terms of career advice, I would say think about the long term and specialize. Absolutely, your career is not going to develop in a day. It's going to be the reflection of many small steps, or at least that's been my experience looking back on what career I have, at this, 8.5-year mark. Now, with that in mind, have fun. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, you might end up somewhere that you're not really happy with. And at the end of the day, you need to be happy, or at least we like to aspire to be. But no, just keep moving forward, and don't think about how many steps. Just keep the whole journey in mind.
Cool. Yeah. So I guess this concludes the question and answer session. It's been great talking to you, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, David. Appreciate being here, guys.